In the previous video, we had discussed one of the most important questions that lingered around after the ending of the 5.3 Archon quest. Is Capitano dead or alive? And is Capitano going to be playable? So in this video, we'll be going over the other important details we discovered in the 5.3 Archon quest, which is mainly RONOVA, the Shade of Death, the Abyss, and a little bit about nod-krai. Now, in the other regions of Teyvat, after 5 Archon quests, the main story regarding that particular region usually comes to an end. But in the case of Natlan, the main story might still be incomplete. But before we move on to all of that, there are 2 important questions that we have to answer. Number 1. The rules of war are woven in the womb. The victors shall burn bright, while the losers must turn to ash. When the Pyro Archon shares this secret with the traveler, it is because she has her own reasons. This was the dialogue said by Daneslave during the reveal of the Natlan teaser in the Teyvat chapter storyline preview. While we know that the first 2 lines of this dialogue was something said by RONOVA to Xbalanque, the real question is, what secret did the god of war, the Pyro Archon, tell the traveler, and was it revealed in the 5.3 Archon quest? Number 2. The Pyro Gemstones censored name. Well, this question has been asked for quite a long time. Who is the censored name in the Pyro Gemstones description, and who is the he being referred to? And did the 5.3 Archon quest actually reveal this as well? Starting off with the first question, the secret that Mavica shared with the traveler. Now, simply thinking, the secret that Mavica shared with the traveler could most probably be the ancient name Tumaini. The reason for thinking so is because the ancient name of the traveler was created for the very reason so that Mavica could take traveler to beat the final boss Gosaitoth of the Abyss within the Night Kingdom. Also, Mavica's reason for creating an ancient name for the traveler was so that the Ode of Resurrection could save the traveler in case something went bad. So unless Mavica has some more secrets that she hasn't revealed to the traveler as of the 5.3 Archon quest, it could only mean that the secret mentioned in the Teyvat chapter storyline preview is most definitely the traveler's ancient name. Moving on to the second question regarding the Pyro Gemstones censored name. While the first few lines of the Pyro Gemstones description is pretty much clear to us by now, the most intriguing part is the last line. If the intention yet remains, achieved censored truth he has. Now, a while ago I had made an extensive video about this topic where I had said that the he could most probably be referring to Capitano and that the censored name could be referring to RONOVA. This was mainly based on the fact that in the Natlan teaser of the Teyvat chapter storyline preview, the Latin script translates to "Rise, O strong man, and go to your destined victory," which probably refers to Capitano. And after 5.3 Archon quest, we can see that Capitano did indeed save the souls that he was carrying around and exacted his revenge against RONOVA for the curse of Kandrian immortality, and that could be the destined victory that was mentioned before. Also, in the very same video, I had speculated that the censored name could be belonging to RONOVA, the Shade of Death, as it was stated by Yuhual Tekutin, the Lord of Night, that the Shades do not like being mentioned by name by any living member of Teyvat or even one of the 7 Archons. Now, as opposed to this, Mavica herself has mentioned RONOVA's names multiple times over the Archon quest, so logically speaking, since the Pyro Gemstone was such an early in-game item, they could have censored the name to prevent spoilers for a quest that came 4 years after the game's release. Also, if you think about the last line, achieved censored truth he has, could read as achieved RONOVA's truth Capitano has, because in the 5.3 Archon quest we had seen that even though Capitano wanted to use his death to sustain the Lord of the Night, he still upheld RONOVA's one particular rule, which was to conserve or continue the curse of immortality. While Capitano's intention of saving the lost souls of Natlan and Kandrian remained, he was still able to uphold RONOVA's rule, which was death being the price for using her power, by sacrificing himself instead of Mavica and at the same time not disturbing the Khaenri'ahn curse of immortality. So unless and until they personally reveal the censored name, from what we've seen so far, I think that the Pyro Gemstone description matches Capitano and RONOVA the most. Up next is RONOVA, the Shade of Death. Finally, after so long, we get an intense low reveal, which is the appearance of RONOVA, which is a creepy eye. Now, although this may not be the actual appearance of RONOVA per se, this is said to be how she keeps watch over Teyvat's activities. The minute we see those creepy eyes, there are two things that actually come to mind. Number 1, Arlecchino, and number 2, the statue of the omnipresent god in Inazuma. First of all, Arlecchino's teaser features a gigantic red eye, along with the color pattern of RONOVA's red-black, which resemble that of Arlecchino. Secondly, the cutscene of the statue of the omnipresent god looks eerily similar to the eye of RONOVA we see in the sky. Maybe the statue is representative of how the shades actually look like. In my previous video, I had speculated that the primordial one could actually be Kiana Kaslana, who in Hoyoverse's alternative game Gun Girl Z takes the form of a god named Araya who has wings and a crown, just like the primordial one. Maybe all the 4 shades who were created from the primordial one could also be Kiana Kaslana itself. This is further supported by how the supposed Shade of Void, the unknown god, also resembles Kiana Kaslana in her Harsher of Void form. So maybe the omnipresent god statue, which is supposed to represent eternity, actually represents how the shades look like. That is, all the shades might actually be Kiana Kaslana, and the multiple eyes could be a biblical reference to how angels look. But since Seelies are already angels in Genshin Impact, maybe the 4 shades are similar to the 4 archangels serving God, who in this case is the primordial one. RONOVA's appearance also takes us back to Perrin Harry, where we were introduced to a titanic horrified eye in the sky. The part in Perrin Harry where the adults ask, "Are you dead?" to the children crossing the hearth, and the mention of the titanic horrified eye in the sky most definitely refers to RONOVA. This could also mean that the Crimson Moon referred to in multiple disasters across Teyvat, like in Khaenri'ah, Remuria and Gurabad, are quite possibly referring to RONOVA. This could also mean that the Daneslave character introduction card, which states the eclipse is swallowed by the Crimson Moon, probably refers to RONOVA's curse of immortality over the Khaenri'ahns. What's even more interesting about RONOVA is how uninterested she seems. Apparently, the fate of this land is of no more interest to her, and that just because the humans' actions pleased the heavenly principles, they deserve praise. It seems as though the shades probably had infinite love for humanity like the primordial one at the start, but over time that has faded. The weight has become too much for RONOVA, and maybe the humans are now simply tools for the heavenly principles to tackle the looming threat of the abyss. The next small topic I would like to discuss is something we came across during our fight with Gosoi Thoth. Now, in various places during the battle, we can hear dialogues said by previous Pyro Archons like Xbalanque, Kokachina, Ndenge and Jumukul, and it appears to be voices mimicked by the Abyss in order to taunt us during the battle. What's interesting among these dialogues is that there are a lot of censored names or censored dialogues. Now, some of these censored dialogues or names we can make out, like in this particular dialogue, they seem to be saying banished creations and should have turned to ash. Also, in another dialogue supposedly said by Jumukul, the word the abyss is also distorted and censored in the dialogue. This might not actually mean much, but it could also be a way to show that abyssal language is corrupted, or the abyss probably doesn't have a way of speaking and is using the will or the memories of the previous Pyro Archons to speak to us, but since it can't fully understand the language, it is getting corrupted in between. But of all these censored dialogues, the most important one is the one said by Gosoi Thoth in the Reaper of Abyss form, where it says bow down or kneel before censored. Now, this censored part could also be referring to the abyss, or maybe it could be referring to a being higher than that of Gosaitoth himself. Maybe Gosaitoth is still under an even stronger abyssal being, just like how Gosaitoth is the reaper of the abyss, there could be an even stronger abyssal being who is probably something like the master of the abyss or the abyss itself. Now this possibility had been mentioned by me in my previous video where I had said that this higher abyssal entity could be the Honkai, or maybe it could be Azathoth, another eldritch horror from H.P. Lovecraft's works, just like Gosaitoth, which is an anagram for Yog-Sothoth. Interestingly, in game we also have an item called Dust of Azoth, so maybe the censored name could actually be Azoth. Now apart from all this, we now know that Mavica is going to be ruling Natlan for the nearby future, and the Traveler has finally got his limelight as the hero of Natlan. Apart from this, we also learned about nod-krai, a mysterious region in Snezhnaya where the people or the inhabitants have a special kind of power which predates the 7 elements. Now it is highly possible that with the release of nod-krai and this mysterious power, as well as the release of Skirk in the future versions, Genshin might be slowly introducing us to the mysterious or the long speculated imaginary and quantum elements. This might also be giving us more insight into the Traveler's truth powers as well as the powers of the Primordial One and how it came or converted elemental energy within Teyvat to suit the living of the humans. But something even more interesting than all of this is that at the beginning of the video I had said that Natlan's story might still be incomplete. This is because in most of the other regions, by the end of the 5 acts of the Archon quest, there was some sort of a decision regarding the Gnosis being made. And in most cases, by the end of these 5 acts, the Gnosis did indeed end up in the hands of the Fatui. But come Natlan, the Gnosis, the Pyro Gnosis, is still in the possession of Mavica, the Pyro Archon. And according to Mavica's speculation, it is possible that the Tsaritsa will be sending yet another Harbinger into Natlan to come retrieve the Pyro Gnosis, the last Gnosis. Now, after the death of Signora, we had received one of the greatest trailers that Genshin Impact ever offered us, which is the Winter Night's Lasso trailer or the Harbinger trailer. Given that Capitano technically died, it could be possible that we would be receiving yet another Winter Night's Lasso trailer or the second part of the Harbinger trailer. Now, apart from what's going on in Snezhnaya, I am honestly very excited to know if the chess piece or the chessboard theory that we have been talking about so long still holds true and that we could see it in the second part of the Harbinger trailer, if at all it comes. If such a trailer does indeed release, it is most probably going to be hinting or revealing to us which Harbinger will be sent to Natlan to retrieve the Pyro Gnosis. Now, if you exclude all the Harbingers who have already made their appearances in Teyvat, as well as the ones who are currently busy in Project Stuja, the only Harbinger who could make their appearance in Natlan to retrieve the Pyro Gnosis, according to the Fatui Wheel, could be Columbina, the third Fatui Harbinger. So that's it guys for today's video. Let me know your thoughts about the 5.3 Archon quest in the comments down below, and let me know if you're actually expecting a Harbinger trailer and who you think will be appearing in Natlan to get the Pyro Gnosis. So in the meanwhile, don't forget to check out my other content and also don't forget to subscribe, as I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.